Divas, if you do this, you're through. Okay, this is my favorite golden nugget to hand you on a gold platter. Not even a silver one. Setting precedents.
Ooh.
This is so important. You've done this with your children if you raise them. You've done this with everybody, your neighbors, your siblings.
Your work.
If your work. If you do something once, it's now going to be a given that you will do it again and again. It's why you say no to your children if they want to do something you don't like. Because if you give it to them once, like maybe a lollipop before dinner, they're always going to want a lollipop before dinner, right? And I think there's some scientific thing about that, like doing something like that 3 times in a row for children, just FYI. Yeah. I'm not an expert, but getting back to the dating scene, if a man asks you out and he wants to do something in a way that does not agree with you, does not resonate with you, and you don't want your life to be like that with this person or anybody else, then the answer would be no.
No.
So let's give a few examples because I want you to think about where have you done something and then regretted doing it because now it was a given.
Yeah.
So, right?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, if you guys get Donna's book, you will see a number of examples. There's a link below. But one of the women that she has coached, the guy she was going out with, he just didn't want to drive. So he basically said, well, come and pick me up and then we'll go.
Yeah. So now, it's interesting. I've had the reason I'm going like this is because, believe me, I've been there. I've done it, right? I had my own situation, which some of you may have read about in the book, where I kept taking the train to see this guy I was dating. We can call him a boyfriend, but that's kind of loose, right? I lived in Brooklyn. He was in Long Island. I took the train, and the one time I asked him to come get me, he wouldn't.
He said, well, why don't you just take the train like you always do?
I was like, so no.
Well, she had set a precedent.
I set a precedent. I couldn't even get mad at myself.
She had set the precedent with this guy that I will take the train.
Yeah.
And his expectation now is you come to me.
Right.
You come to me.
Yes,
and
I did that.
On the train.
I did that, yes.
Well, that also was early when she was really just starting to date.
Right.
And it was a huge, huge lesson.
Yeah.
Now, I can say that this applies to every aspect of your life. I actually was really proud of one of the guys that works for me the other day. We were talking about doing something, and he said, but you already taught me we can't do that. That would set the wrong precedent to the guys that we're working with out in the field. And I went, I am so proud of you, dude. That's true. That's true because whatever the situation might be, you might be working in an office where you require an email authorization. And somebody picks up the phone and calls. If you let them do that, they'll start doing that all the time.
Right.
What? Well, you did it last week.
Right.
What? I can't do it now.
Right.
But when he hears send an email, well, I need it. Well, send an email. Send an email. You'll get nothing. He'll send the email, and that the precedent has been set.
Right.
And we could be talking about again, work, relationships, family.
Yeah. Think about what have you done on a date that you wished you hadn't.
Yeah.
And when you follow the system, it doesn't have to be with the one. It's following the system that you're getting so much in habit of following the correct, smart dating system that you then apply it all the time.
Yes.
And when the right one shows up, you're already in sync.
Yes.
You're doing all the right things.
Well, one of the things Donna has talked about for the longest time is if it's not 3 days, then you say, I'm busy. If a guy calls you on Friday and says, hey, would you like to go out tomorrow night? I'm busy. That's a precedent.
I love
you have to give, he has to give you at least 3 days. Now, there can be an exception. Donna was in Brooklyn, and if a guy called her up and goes, look, I just got tickets to go see the Rangers tomorrow night. Do you want to go? That's different.
I don't know.
But
would I go?
well, if you like sports, if you didn't like sports, again.
Yeah.
Now this is actually a perfect example.
Oh.
Because if you don't like sports and you start to go,
Yeah.
he's going to say, hey, now let's go over and see the Yankees. Let's go over and see the Knicks.
That is so true. And you know
Yeah.
what's really funny? I think when I first started cooking for you, when I first started cooking for Jeff, I cooked and I made something and he ate it. I mean, he ate everything I put in front of him. But
I still do.
I could kind of tell there were certain things he liked better than other things, right? And I remember saying to you very early on, honey, do you like that? And he was like, yeah. And I go, if you don't tell me exactly what you like, you will keep getting this. And he goes, well, I think I would like it better if it was blah, blah, blah. So that's my point. It was a great point. I'm already in practice of,
Yes.
we're going to set a precedent here. If you're telling me you like this food I'm making and then you really don't, or it's not your favorite.
Well, if he asks you out and says, hey, you want to go out for Chinese? And you don't really care for Chinese because you're thinking, oh, there's so much salt in them.
Yeah.
And you say, sure. Again, it's a precedent.
Yeah.
So it would be better to be upfront and honest and say, that's not one of my favorites. I love Italian or Mexican or whatever, but when you set a precedent, for a guy, he will expect that to continue.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it'll throw him for a loop. And
Yeah.
just be honest, be upfront. Set the precedent, though, that you want, that you like.
Right.
And if you guys are a match, you'll be shocked how great this system actually works out for you.
Yeah, because remember, we're looking for healthy scenarios, healthy relationships,
Yes.
so you want to be upfront and honest because remember, divas,
It doesn't have to be that hard. And before we get off, make sure that you subscribe and hit a like on this video. It really does help the channel.